Good day, everyone. Ever since I made my last video on super bloopers, a lot of teachers who've been listening in have sent me the bloopers that they have encountered in their classrooms. And I felt I just had to make this follow-up video, simply called Oops. Last week, a friend and I went into a local restaurant for a cup of coffee and a snack. And there I noticed a young woman going from table to table asking how the clients were enjoying their evening meal. And she was very familiar because she does live in the area where I stay. So when she got to our table, I said, "How lovely to see you here. Since when have you been waitressing here?" And she was very affronted. She drew herself up to her full height of 4 feet 5 inches and she said, "Madam, I am not a waitress. I am the professional cooker here." Well, she must have been really upset because, like her profession, she was steaming up the years. And it was only when I told her that the snack was spot on and the coffee was great that she cooled down and went away. Well, the coffee was not that hot. In fact, it was very lukewarm. And the snack was mediocre. But that was the only way I could get her to stop venting and possibly her valve just hitting the ceiling. In the same vein, we were once at a teachers' conference and we had a lot of teachers from all over the world along with us. And Elizabeth from the UK asked one of my colleagues, "So, what do you think your students are doing right now, since we are here on a 3-day conference and they have the time off?" And my colleague, with no hesitation, she said, "Oh, they are mugging." Now, mugging in the UK means, well, assaulting and robbing. Elizabeth backed away from us very, very cautiously, and I wasn't sure that she wasn't going to set the cops on us. Now, I'm sure you have had this experience. I called my student the other day and her mum picked up the phone. And when I asked for Sheila, she said, "Oh, madam, Sheila is taking a bath." And I wondered where Sheila was taking her bath. I had visions of Sheila wrapped in this delightful Turkish towel, her bucket or her bathtub under her arm, crossing the high street. I wondered where she was going, but this would definitely be a great traffic stopper. When we go to stations, railway stations, you will always hear this announcement: the train arriving on platform number 3. Well, heaven forfend, I hope the train doesn't arrive on the platform. And even if it does, where are the passengers supposed to go? Jump onto the tracks? Worth a listen to, railways. It is the train arriving at platform number 3. Whenever we have discussions in the corporate world and we're discussing plans and projects, at the end of the discussion, the head of department will gather all the papers together and very politely say, "I must run this through my client and get back to you." Well, at that point, I always have a bemused expression on my face, and I thank God that we've been discussing plans and ideas and not knives or sharp objects. Lady, you don't run this through your client, you run this by your client. At the last meeting we had, one of the gentlemen who was one of the key persons to be there was late. So we started the meeting without him, and he arrived 20 minutes late totally flustered and disheveled. And we asked him what happened. And he said, I had such a bad trip. Well, now he had come in by bus from Borivali to Dadar. And unless he had boarded an LSD or ecstasy-laden psychedelic double-decker bus, I can't figure out how bad that trip could have been. But hush, I mustn't mention anything drug-related, because at this present moment, you know what's happening, and our over-enthusiastic Narcotics Bureau may just get on my tail. And then, of course, there's that classic on the light, off the light when you enter and leave the room. And I wonder, where is the humble switch in all this? Because the switch is the one thing that's needed for this electrical action. After all, we ought to be switching on and switching off the lights. Recently, when this pandemic eased up a bit, we had started physical classes for our students. And these were bridging classes so that we could cover the important topics that were done online and which may not have been fully understood. So these were very important to the students. Well, Mukul didn't come to class for about 4 days, and he would have been missing a lot. So when he did turn up, I asked him why he was absent. And he looked at me and he said, Madam, my uncle went off. And I was very excited because during this lockdown time, if anybody goes off anywhere, well, great for them. And just when I was going to ask him, where did your uncle go off to? London? Timbuktu? I noticed the tears in Mukul's eyes, and I realized that his uncle had gone off to the great blue yonder. So I suitably rearranged my facial expression from one of elation to condolence, and I offered my sympathies. Well, that's a wrap for this video. I really must be off. Well, don't worry, I don't have any suicidal intentions, but it is the start of the day, and I really must take my bath.